If you've never been in a relationship with a narcissist, here are some personal accounts from 8 very different people. All names have been changed to protect privacy, but rest assured, all of these are true. How can I prove it? Well, because some of these are my own, and others were shared with me by my closest family and friends. So, here are 11 stories about loving a narcissist and the confusion, the pain, and the ultimate revelation that comes from such an experience. Perhaps these might shed the light on your own love journey, current or past.
We were having one of our typical arguments where he was lecturing me about how I should be doing this and that. As usual, he was condescending and patronizing. I got really emotional and I started crying. He just stares at me with the most detached look on his face, smiling. And then he goes, interesting. It's like watching a caged monkey throwing a fit.
On the way back from her father's funeral, we are in the car and she had a strange look on her face. I asked her what she was thinking and she goes, "This death made me think about my own financial security. I think you should start covering my cell phone bill. I'm your wife. You shouldn't even question this. You owe this to me." I was the one paying all of the bills in the household. She was only paying for her car and her phone. Found out later, her real reason was to funnel more money to her cokehead son, who ran a successful restaurant and had more income than she at her job. I've come to really appreciate honesty and openness in my relationships. I had to learn the hard way that sometimes you've got to walk away to stay sane and keep your peace. I've been single for a few years now, and I'm glad I had this time to be alone. It took a long while before I stopped feeling bitter.
People wondered why I struggled to leave him for so long, but I can see it more or less clearly now, and I can see how addictive that feeling is when someone puts you on a pedestal. The high you feel when your abuser adores you, combined with intense gaslighting that made me doubt myself. Walking away felt like the biggest mistake. It's challenging to recognize the harm when you're still involved. It took me almost 4 years to see the full extent of the abuse I had endured. I am so glad I got out.
We had a heated argument, and she got in my face and said, "Come on, go ahead, hit me, I know you want to." I go, "Why would I hit you? I don't hit people." She steps back and continues screaming at me, cursing. I just had to walk away. She did this several times throughout the marriage, probably hoping she would be able to provoke me so that she could call the cops on me. Also, she tried convincing me I had anger management issues. I went to a therapist who told me, in no uncertain terms, I absolutely did not. What I had was a narcissistic wife who provoked me on the regular basis. I asked her to come to a joint therapy session, and in the very first meeting, she told him what was wrong with this marriage and how all of it was my fault. In the second session, the therapist was asking her very pointed questions about her contributions to our problems, and she just exploded at him. How dare he accuse her of anything? She called him filthy names and accused him of being coached by me, and then she stormed out.
The kids were really young when my dad got very ill, and I had to fly out to help my mom take care of him. My husband refused to watch them because supposedly he couldn't take any time off work, so I took them with me. It was really rough. My parents and I, the children, in a 2-bedroom apartment in the height of summer, no air conditioning. We were there for 2 weeks. I get back, and shortly afterward, I find out he cheated on me, but not just cheated. He went on a tropical vacation to some luxury resort with this woman, while I was shoveling shit, literally, and getting 3 hours of sleep each night and taking care of our children. He was having a good time. This betrayal was very traumatic. Many years have gone by, and I am in a wonderful marriage now, but I still can't honestly say I have fully healed yet. There were so many other things he did, so many things I am not ready to talk about publicly, and I might never be ready, but this I know. Words don't mean much. Actions is where it's at.
I was talking on the phone with my adult son one day, and at the end of the phone call, he said, "I love you, Dad." I said, "I love you too." My ex gets home from work that night, and she is livid. "What's wrong?" She goes, "I know you are cheating on me. I heard you say I love you too. I heard you on the phone." She had dog monitors installed all over the house, so she was watching and listening.
The very first date, he tells me how both of his ex-wives were just awful and how he was always misunderstood. This alone should have been a major red flag, but he was so charming, we started seeing each other. This was moving very fast. He started telling me things like, "You're so amazing, and I think I am falling for you." Seemed strange, given how recent this whole thing was, but I just ignored that thought. Until the second red flag. I come to his house for the first time, and right away I realize this place is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not just clean, it's immaculate. Remember that movie with Julia Roberts, Sleeping with the Enemy? It was like that. And several days later, he sees the inside of my car for the first time, and, well, Let's just say it's less than immaculate. I don't mean it was trashed, but there is a jacket on the back seat, and I hadn't had my car detailed in a while. I could tell he is very uncomfortable, but he doesn't say anything. Next day, he asks me out for coffee. When I get there, he gives me a hug, but I sense immediately that something's changed. He starts joking about maybe we get married and just continue living in separate houses. I laugh at this and throw this back at him saying, why would I want to get married if I continued to live alone? We get done with our coffee, he hugs me and says, I will call you later, and then he blocks me. Never heard from him again. This experience really shook me, but it also taught me a very important lesson. Trust your gut. The red flags are there for a reason. I also realize now that my self-esteem was very low at that point in my life. Otherwise, I would have seen right through that love bombing.
He asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I was hesitant telling him, knowing how weird he got with money. But then I thought, why not? He did ask. So I showed him this bag I really liked. It was around $500. Fast forward to my birthday. We are at a restaurant. He hands me a large box. I open it, and yes, it's the bag I had asked for. And then he goes, we are really tight on money right now. So if you want us to be able to pay mortgage this month, you might want to take this back. Receipts in the box. Naturally, I took it back. Years later, during the divorce proceedings, I found out he was stashing money away in multiple separate accounts in his name. No wonder we never seemed to have any extra money, despite his high salary. I will never put myself in the position where I would be kept in the dark, financially, ever again. A good marriage to me will always mean equal partnership. I don't know why it had to take this many years of pain and trauma for me to realize this, but I guess better late than never, huh?
My ex told several of our mutual friends that I was physically violent with her. The only time I ever tried to defend myself in our 6-year marriage was after she got mad and attacked me because she got caught cheating and I confronted her. She's probably still telling people I was an abuser.
I had to rush my adult son to the ER for a life-threatening emergency. Once we get to the ER, I notice she is seething. She can't even look at me. I pull her aside. What's the matter? And she goes, you didn't even hold the door for me when we were getting out of the car. And then you just walked with him, ahead of me, like I wasn't even there. I am not your slave to walk 10 paces behind you. I was stunned. Here I am, worried sick about my son who could be dying right now. But instead of supporting me, she does this. And then she just leaves. This is in wintertime and it's snowing, and it's a 5-mile walk. I don't know if I would ever be able to think unemotionally about those years with my ex, but I did find true love, and let me tell you, it's absolutely worth the journey. Being in a relationship where I'm actually supported and loved is incredible. Gone are the days of constantly being blamed for all kinds of things. Who knew life could be so peaceful? I have one more story for you, but first, did any of these stories resonate? Please help us spread awareness about narcissistic abuse by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And here is Sarah.
Whenever I told him how I felt about something he'd done, it escalated into a big issue with him just yelling at me, accusing me of making him out to be the bad guy. He claimed he had to tiptoe around me, yet I was the one carefully choosing my words to avoid any chance of offending him, but somehow, he still ended up feeling attacked. I never felt safe or supported in that marriage. It was a very isolating feeling, but still, I was afraid to leave. It took me 10 years to finally do it. All that time spent tiptoeing around him really showed me how important it is to speak up for myself. Getting out was the beginning of me learning to value myself again. It made me see that a real relationship is about both people respecting and getting each other.